Is the partisan news media losing its power? Is it the process of unmasking untruths, or just the public getting tired of hearing the constant drumbeat of attack without facts? Ebru media analyst Jackie Guzda joins us to break down what's happening. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Do you see the pendulum swinging?
The pendulum's swinging like mad. You know, Brian, we have to look at what's going on with the news today. Believability ratings in the news are dropping as partisan news is increasing. And it's all because of the tenor of the times. If we look at the history of broadcast news, after Vietnam, after Watergate, people did not trust the news very much, so there was a great time there where everything was geared towards objectivity. Now, things happened in 1996. Rupert Murdoch, who started Fox News, hired Roger Ailes, his CEO, as a pushback against the quote-unquote liberal media in their eyes. Well, a few years later, 2002, Fox's ratings skyrocketed, and they lead. They are the top #1 news cable channel. And everything was fine there for a while. MSNBC now, on the left wing, their ratings were very bad, and they decided, well, we're going to kind of follow Fox's model, but we're going to do it over on the left. Well, last year, their ratings doubled.
And it's all because of this advocacy journalism that news has become.
Right.
And I think inside the halls of journalism, we all, decry these development, because what used to be a very honored profession, now people look at journalists and say, well, which side are you really on?
Exactly. I mean, in 2004, Columbia Journalism Review coined the phrase red news and blue news.
Now, there was an interesting interview on Fox News. We're going to run a little piece of it and have you react to that.
Yeah.
Rick Hicks, I believe.
Tom Ricks.
Tom Ricks was on Fox News, had an interview on a variety of things, but take a listen to his reaction to the questioner.
Great.
John McCain has said in the past that he would block any attempt to nominate Susan Rice to become Secretary of State. She's currently the UN ambassador. He seems to be backing away from that. What do you make of it?
I think that Benghazi generally was hyped by this network especially, and that now that the campaign is over, I think he's backing off a little bit. They're not going to stop Susan Rice from being Secretary of State.
When you have 4 people dead, including the first UN ambassador, U.S. ambassador in more than 30 years, how do you call that hype?
How many security contractors died in Iraq, do you know?
I don't.
No, nobody does, because nobody cared. We know that several hundred died, but there was never an official count done of security contractors dead in Iraq. So when I see this focus on what was essentially a small firefight, I think, number one, I've covered a lot of firefights. It's impossible to figure out what happens in them sometimes. And second, I think that the emphasis on Benghazi has been extremely political, partly because Fox was operating as a wing of the Republican Party.
And there you have it. So finally, folks are coming out, calling out folks on Fox and on MSNBC as well. You see a backlash against this kind of advocacy journalism?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Pew Research Center did a study over 10 years, 2002 until 2012, and they looked at both Fox and MSNBC. What happened in those 10 years is that Fox lost believability by 20% overall, and MSNBC 25% overall. Now, it gets even more interesting when you break down the demographics. When those who identified themselves as left-leaning looked at Fox and they said they'd lost about 11% trust in Fox. In MSNBC, about 10%. What is even more interesting is when they asked those who identified themselves as right-wing Republicans, they looked at their own channel, Fox, and even then they lost 10% credibility. They looked at MSNBC, and in 2002, MSNBC was accepted about 70% by the Republicans. 10 years later, 2012, 32%.
So it is perhaps a revelation that they're looking at it and say, I don't know if I can really believe this anymore.
Exactly. So, I mean, my question is, what does that say about us? We know what's happening with the news outlets. They're making money by polarizing.
Sure.
However, they are giving us what we want. So, question is, are we sick and tired of this partisan news. Are we going to have a pushback? I think time will tell. We might be on the cusp of that. But more importantly, I think right now, if you look at the kind of news that the consumer is buying, we are being told what we already believe. It's being reinforced constantly.
We're watching what we want to hear, but
Exactly.
the downside of that is we're not really informed. As a matter of fact, there was an interesting little piece of information here. 2 studies, Fairleigh Dickinson University, one at the University of Maryland. They say viewers of Fox News knew less about current events than those who watched no news at all.
No news at all.
That's incredible.
That's right. They found out that the people who really knew more were people who read newspapers like New York Times, people who listened to NPR, or people who watch the Sunday morning talk shows, because then the issues are discussed in depth.
So we need both sides, all sides. and more of that
Absolutely,
needs
to make
be,
good decisions and be informed.
Yeah, well, we'll see if the pendulum swings back the other way.
We will.
Jackie, always a pleasure to have you.
You too.